Hello, in this video I'm looking at the song Your Pretty Face Is Going to Hell by Iggy and the Stooges, and this is a continuation of my project to look at every single song from the mighty 1973 album Raw Power. And I'm nearly there. I think after this video I've only got one more track to do, so I'm going to begin by playing a little bit of this song for you, and then I will break down how it's played. So there we go, and I don't think I really need to say much more about why this album is so great. I've discussed this in many previous videos, but if you don't know this album for any crazy reason, then do yourself a favour and take a listen to it. It's one of my favourite albums ever, and the whole record contains some magnificent guitaring from James Williamson, but this song in particular has got so many good riffs. A lot of great songs will have one, maybe two great riffs in there, but this seems to have about 6 or 7. They just keep on coming. So I'm not going to waffle on anymore. Let's get straight down to business, and I'll take you through how this one goes. Standard tuning, and the intro riff goes like this. So we've got lots of 6-string root bar chords and power chords in this tune. We're starting with an A bar chord at the 5th fret. Generally I'm only playing the lowest portion of these bar chord shapes. So you've got the entire 6-string A bar chord like that. I'm usually just playing the lowest 3 or 4 strings. And in fact, if you're doing that, you don't even need to press your bar all the way down. Usually I'll just press down the root note and then use the underside of my first finger just to mute the top pair of strings, and then it's kind of halfway in between a full bar chord and a power chord, I suppose. So that's how I'm hearing it at the start of this tune. So we've got a bar on the A, and then we're going down 3 frets to an F sharp, and then we're into this. And this is a really important part of this tune, just getting this bit right. It's sort of part of several of the riffs that you're hearing. So we're up at the 7th fret here. This is kind of our home fret for this tune. This is our B root note at the 7th fret. And the way that I think James Williamson is doing it is like this. We're starting out with this B major chord, but we're just playing fret 7, 9, muting the 4th string, and then we've got fret 8 on the 3rd string and muting the pair of top strings. So a 3-note B major chord, and we're going between that and this B sus4 sound. So how we're doing that is we're just flattening down the 3rd finger. So we're on the tip of the third finger to start with, and I was flattening that finger down, so I'm now covering the 9th fret on strings 3, 4 and 5, so giving you that B sus4. And this is quite a common James Williamson thing. He's using a similar technique in the title track Raw Power, which I think goes like this. So So check out the video I did on that a while back. But in this song we're playing at the 7th fret. It's a B, and we're going between, as I say, this B major and the B sus4 in this kind of a rhythm. So could count that out for you. The best thing to do is just to try and feel that. You can kind of hear where that sus4 comes in. It's kind of da 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 da. And you've got a slight accent on that sus4. I mean, in terms of beats, I think it's on beat 2 and then the 2 and 3 and the and of 3. It's not something I've even thought about. I'm so familiar with this song and this riff that it's just something you can kind of hear and feel, and I think that's the best approach to this if you can do it like that. Obviously if you run into problems then you can kind of count it out, and you realise that you're actually holding down that 3rd finger on beat 2 and on the and of 3. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so that's the basic riff that we've got on the B chord. I think we're playing 3 bars of that, and then we've got this single note idea. And then we're back to the B stuff. So what we've got here, starting on the 5th string at the 6th fret, then I'm coming down to the 4th fret, 2, and then the 4th fret on the low E string, and then we've got 4-2 on the A, 4-2 on the low E. So it's kind of a pentatonic sequence. All of those notes coming from the B major pentatonic scale. Back to this. And then we're down to E for the start of the verse. And the verse is quite simple. We're just starting off on an open E chord, once again emphasising the lower strings. And we've got 3 bars of that, just 8 notes, all downstrokes, digging in with the downstrokes here. And then we're back up to B via this little single note pentatonic riff. So we're playing the E chord for 3 bars, the riff, and that connects us back up to the B. Single notes, down to E, back up to B. So it's nice, we're really just going between B and E, but we're using this single note riff to get both from the B to the E and from the E back again to the B. And we repeat that several times. Then we're into the next section, and not quite sure what to call this, whether it's a chorus or just a development and continuation of the verse. But we're going up 2 frets and we've got this riff. So yeah, taking that basic idea up 2 frets, this is now C sharp, and it could just be that same move of flattening down the 3rd finger, but I'm really hearing some higher notes in there as well. So it's as if the 3rd finger is now covering the B string as well, and we've got this kind of F sharp sound. So I'm coming out of this major chord shape, and then I'm moving to this, so 9, 9, 11, 11 and 11, which is an F sharp with this C sharp note in the bass. Same idea up at the 12th fret on E, down to B, and now Now the same riff down at the 2nd fret for F sharp. And then we're hitting A at the 5th fret, just a little build for 2 bars. And then we're back to the main riff. Next, all of that is repeated, so another verse and a chorus or whatever you want to call it. Then we've got the next section, which is this the chorus? Is it a bridge? I don't know, but it's the next bit. Anyway, it's the bit that goes like this. We've got... So this starts at the 10th fret, and we've got this same move again, where we're kind of going from the 5th string root bar chord, a G, over to a D major, so flattening down that 3rd finger, and then coming back to the D bar chord, and then coming down to a B. And then we're to the next riff, which is... So we've got some single notes. So I'm sliding from 5 to 7 on the low E, over to 5 on the A, and then hitting our root note. Then I'm switching position and going into our B riff with the flattened down 3rd finger. So just repeating. And then we're going back into the intro, kind of a re-intro. And that's mostly it for the rhythm guitar parts. And I should just say that I was slightly puzzled by this last riff. When I was listening to the tune and trying to figure out, it's definitely one of these where's the one kind of conundrums, and I'm kind of hearing it in 2 different ways through this track. I think the way that I'm naturally hearing this riff is these riffs here are coming in halfway through the bar, so it's 1, 2, and then you're pushing into the next bar and going into the B riff, so 1, 2. But you can also hear it the other way round, where you're hearing these single notes as coming in on the 1, so 2, 3, 4. That kind of a way around. And I'm not really sure how that is counted on the recording. There's definitely some slightly unusual stuff going on. There's a little bar of 2 in there somewhere, so it's a little bit of a weird one, and to be honest, it does sound a little bit like the band is slightly confused at one point in this tune. You've got the drummer kind of going for a fill at the end of the section, and James Willington is kind of carrying on for an extra couple of beats, and then they fall back into sync, which I think is great. You don't get that much in recordings these days, where something is obviously very live and they've just left kind of mistakes, if you like, in there. But mistakes in the case of this record are actually what makes it. It wouldn't be the same if it had all been kind of Pro Toolsed and edited to perfection. So take a listen to that and see if you can hear what I mean. There's definitely a couple of slightly strange moments in there. Interesting, I've kind of compared it to some live footage, and they do play it slightly differently when getting into and out of this chorus section. So interesting, but don't need to worry about it too much. So that's really it for the main rhythm guitar parts. It then repeats again. You've got all of the same stuff, and the song ends on this riff. Repeating till the end of the track. I will now briefly run through some of the lead guitar ideas. And I'm a big fan of the James Williamson lead guitar style, but as I think I've said before, I feel it's a little bit pointless to try and learn this stuff note for note in kind of a nerdy way. It kind of misses the point of this style of playing, which is all about playing with attitude and a certain kind of recklessness and abandon. But having said that, I will take you through some of the lead guitar ideas from the first part of this tune. I think the best approach here is to just understand what he's doing, the kind of licks and ideas that he's using, and then just do things your own way rather than trying to slavishly copy. Right at the top of the song then we've got something like this. And all of this stuff is slightly approximate, but it's all just B minor pentatonic and all fairly standard rock and roll and kind of rock, blues rock language, if you like. But I think what is unique about James Williamson is this kind of recklessness with which he does his lead stuff. I mean, interestingly, his rhythm guitar stuff is all really tight and grooving and solid, but his lead guitar stuff is kind of nice and messy, and messy in a good way, and he's often kind of drifting a little bit with the timing of some of these phrases, which is what makes it so hard to replicate. But in terms of the actual notes, this is just B minor pentatonic, so we're starting off at the 7th fret here, kind of box 1, and then we're coming up to the 17th fret here, so you could think about this like this position of the B minor pentatonic. I would call this position 4, pattern 4, and we're bending at the 17th fret, just coming down the scale, ending on this B note, and then we're back down to position 1. Another nice variation here, a little bluesy idea. And then he launches into this kind of a phrase. So climbing up that minor pentatonic scale, it's kind of a scale sequence that I'm hearing here. It's very difficult to hear exactly what notes he's playing just because the mix is kind of all over the place on this tune. But I'm starting on the 5th string, just climbing up. A rough kind of triplet rhythm. Over onto the top string. Ending at the 10th fret on the top string. Some nice vibrato. And then he's actually doubling the rhythm guitar but an octave lower. So exactly the same idea that was played on the rhythm guitar. Here I'm starting at the 8th fret on the 3rd string, coming down, and ending on this B note. And then the rhythm guitar just carries the track for the next couple of bars, and then just coming in once again to double that single note riff. And the lead guitar is laying out for quite a lot of the verse, but then it creeps in again with a lick that goes a bit like this. So standard minor pentatonic stuff once again, so climbing up in pattern 1. Nice bluesy idea there. And then climbing up. And then just playing around in this little box here, 10 and 12 on the top 2 strings. So yeah, a lot of mileage just out of that little box there, just playing around with those notes, doing some bending, and in particular the 12th fret note is a good one to bend. And then the 10th fret is good just to kind of push slightly sharp in that bluesy kind of a way. And then for the chorus, once again, he's kind of laying out and just letting the rhythm guitar carry the track, and then coming in again towards the end of the chorus. I think when the rhythm guitar hits the A chord, I'm hearing just some single notes. some kind of more minor pentatonic stuff, really. So, I mean, have a listen to that, and as I've already suggested, try and do things your own way, but using some of these ideas. So using these scale patterns, you can let kind of Williamson kind of lead you to which notes are going to be good ones to emphasize and to bend, but try and do things your own way is my recommendation. The gear that I'm using today, my Les Paul, James Williamson, of course known primarily as a Les Paul player, and supposedly on the Raw Power recording for the most part he used a Vox AC30. I'm actually using my Marshall today, which is behind me. It tends to work well for this kind of thing. It's a Marshall Studio vintage amp, and you might be able to see I'm kind of using the classic trick with these kind of amps where you kind of jumper the two channels together. So I'm going into the top input of the high treble channel, and then I've got a little patch cable going from the bottom input into the top input of the normal channel, and then you've got two volume controls to play around with, and it kind of affects the tone in interesting ways. I think if you just go into the high treble channel on these things, it can kind of cut your head off. It's just so harsh. But if you blend in a little bit of that normal channel, it just adds some low end and tames the harshness a little bit. So that's the rhythm guitar tone, and then for the lead guitar tone I'm stomping on a pedal, and that is the Analog Man Beano Boost, which is a treble boost kind of a pedal. And I should also say that I'm going through the UA aux box, which is this thing that is sitting on top of the Marshall, and I'm using that as a volume attenuator. I mean, even though this particular Marshall is quite low wattage, it's still really loud. It's too loud to be sitting right next to it and trying to teach during a video, so I'm taking down the volume quite a lot with the aux box. But let me give you some sounds. So this is just the Les Paul going straight into the Marshall. And then with the treble booster as well. So I'm using the treble booster just for the lead guitar stuff. So. So there we go. Really hope you've enjoyed this video. Tab, of course, is going to be up on the Patreon page, and I'm going to try and finish off this project reasonably soon. I've got one more track to look at. As I said, I think that track is Death Trip, so I'll try and do that in the next few weeks. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.